Hi folks, and welcome back to Broadside Gaming with me, Zug. So we're carrying on with our Ogryn week, and today we are taking a look at a more aggressive and more fun Ogryn build. And this is something I usually just fall back to when I'm just playing for the fun of it. So let's jump in and see what we're using. So we're using the Delver's Pickaxe, more specifically the Carsolus Mark II. And for the modifiers, we're going with damage, crowd control, cleave damage, and penetration. Lol. And defense is our dump stat. For the perks, we're going with Carapace and Flak. Flak being the most prevalent armor type in the game, and Carapace just because it's going to help us deal with those annoying crushers. And also, we have enough sort of back end damage that we don't really need the breakpoints for anything else. For the blessings, we're going to be using Slaughterer, which gives us plus 8% strength for 4.5 seconds on kill, stacking 5 times, and Thrust. Up to 20% strength based on the charge time of your heavy attack, stacking 3 times. Now, there are a lot of people's different opinions on this. For example, if you don't like Slaughterer, they say take Head Taker, wherever the hell that's gone. Slaughterer, there we go, Head Taker. 5% strength for 3.5 seconds on hit, stacking 5 times. So it's damage on hit instead of damage on kill. But of course, it's slightly lower, but it is also easier to stack up. So, take what you want. I take Slaughterer. And if you don't like Thrust, you can also take, I don't know, anything else you want to. Like, you can take Confident Strikes for chaining back toughness. Or, oh god, don't take Limb Splitter, honestly. Torrent is okay, I guess, but it requires you to micromanage everything you do continuously, and I find it very annoying. I highly suggest sticking with Slaughter and Thrust, but, not your mum, not going to tell you what to do. So that is how I build the pickaxe. Obviously, if you want to, you can change the mark of it. It doesn't actually change it that much. The Carsolus, I just find it suits my playstyle a lot better, and I'll show you why. For example, the special, you pull forward, which lines you straight up into an overhead. And you can also pull bulwarks forward and open up their shield. And of course, if you look down the bottom, to get up to 3 stacks of thrust is almost instantaneous, which is going to give us a huge amount of damage. But if you don't like the Carsolus, you can also change it to the other marks. The Bovorian, or Bovine as I like to call it, is alright. I'm not a huge fan of its attack pattern, and the Brax is a very, very, very good weapon. You just have slightly less cleave, but a lot more overhead. But if you look down the bottom to the buff bar, shut up, Stephanie. If you look down at the buff bar, Thrust does take substantially longer to actually stack up. But the Brax is an absolute beast. As you can see, the block push does lead into a cleave. And some of the attacks do. But you do have to end up flicking your screen like you would do with the slab shield. That does actually give you a bit more cleave if you do flick, but like I say, it's up to you. Use whichever one you prefer. I prefer the Carsolus. Doesn't mean the other ones aren't good, it's just my personal preference. And as I was saying, with the Carsolus, the special attack is really good for staggering stuff forward towards you, taking them off their feet. And it does speed up the stacking of thrust very, very quickly. But as you can see, it doesn't hit quite as hard as the Brax. But what it lacks in single point, it makes up for in the fact it's an absolute scythe when it comes to dealing with hordes. You will just cleave your way through basically anything. As you can see, it just gets rid of even flak armored maniacs without much trouble. It's also incredibly accurate, so keep that in mind. There you go. That's the Carsolus. Next up is the Rumbler, which is I jump between the ranged weapons. I mean, it's not like we've got very many of them, but between the Rumbler and the Kickback and the Stubbers and whatnot, I do tend to come back to the Rumbler quite a lot. As for the modifiers, we're going with Blast, Ammo, Blast Radius, and Penetration, lol, as our main, and Mobilities are dump, because that's what I always do. Perk-wise, we're going with Carapace and Unyielding. This is going to help us deal with monstrosities, and also it's just going to lay down more damage on heavily armoured targets. We're going with Adhesive Charge, which gives your grenades, they stick to Ogryn and monstrosities, doing 15% more damage against them as well. And Shrapnel, which is going to add +4 stacks of bleed to close range explosions. So, if you're close, do one of these. Now everything has bleed on it. Although, it really does mean close range when it says close range. But still, it's very, very useful, because bleed does not suffer that badly from diminishing returns, and the more bleed we can stack, the more damage you are going to do, as bleed is absolutely filthy at the moment in the meta. So that's why we're taking Shrapnel. Now, for the Curios, I mess these around quite a lot. Sometimes I take 2 health and 1 toughness, or I take 1 health and 2 toughness. It's basically up to you however you prefer to do it. This does not break or change the build in any significant way. As you can see, the last build I did, it was 2 toughness, 1 health. This one is 2 health, 1 toughness. It's completely up to you. They're both very good ways of doing it. There are 2 camps of people that will swear blind that theirs is the only way to do it. I don't know, let them argue between themselves. I really don't care that much. So for this one, I am using 2 health and 1 toughness. On the first health one, we've got max toughness with 12% stamina generation. This is to help stamina start to regenerate quicker instead of it actually regenerating faster. And damage resistance gunners. The next health one is just toughness, max health, and damage resistance gunners. And then the last toughness is toughness, damage resistance snipers, and damage resistance gunners. But of course, if you don't want to do that, you can also follow this one. It is just twinning the last Curio, so they're exactly the same. And yes, I know there is damage. There is diminishing returns when it comes to damage resistance gunners. I know, we're all aware. I've said it about 1,000 times. But yes, there is, but it's also better to have full damage resistance gunners because they're going to shred you either way. So there you go. So that is the gear. And yes, the gear is quite interchangeable with the Ogryn. There is no definitive one way to do it, no matter what other YouTubers say. There is always going to be difference of opinions on how to play things. So there you go. Talent-wise, let's jump in and take a look at what we're using. So we're going to start off with Furious. For each enemy you hit during the same heavy melee attack, you gain 2.5% damage on your next melee attack. Swing more, do more damage. The best defense, replenish 20% toughness after hitting multiple enemies with a single heavy melee attack. Into a toughness boost, then we're taking Smasher, replenish 20% toughness after hitting a single enemy with a heavy melee attack. Then we're taking Heavy Weight, plus 30% damage against Bulwarks, Crushers, Plague Organs, and Reapers, and 30% damage reduction against the same. Then into a Linchpin, toughness replenishment while incoherency is increased by 50%. You should always be incoherency if you can be. Toughness boost, and then we're taking the Frag Bomb. Throw an Ogryn size, the only proper kind, frag grenade with a 16-meter blast, dealing increased damage at the center. This thing is awesome. This is basically your equalizer. If a wave is looking like it's going to overwhelm you and the group, you can drop this thing, and it resets basically everything that's going on your screen. It is incredibly powerful, but you do only get one of them. But do not be afraid to use it, because as you can see, it has a very large blast radius, and it basically kills everything. It even deals with Crushers pretty easily. So if you need to break down a wave of them, a grenade and a few shots from the Rumbler will do just that. It's a very good grenade. I enjoy it. Next up, we're going into Soften Them Up. Enemies damaged by you take 15% more damage for 5 seconds. And then into Toughness Damage Reduction. Then we're picking up Indomitable. Charge forward a great force, knocking back enemies and staggering them. Gain plus 25% attack speed and 25% movement speed for 5 seconds. The charge is stopped on collision with a monstrosity. Then we're taking Stomping Boots, which gives us plus 10% toughness per enemy hit. And also Pulverize, which is at the moment outperforming Trample massively, because bleed is just incredibly powerful right now. Applying 5 stacks of bleed on enemies hit by Indomitable. So everything you hit takes 5 stacks of bleed. And then we're going into rending, which is basically 5% extra damage. 1% rending kind of equals out to 1% damage. Batter inflicts 4 stacks of bleed on heavy melee hit. This is a big keystone for the build. Into heavy melee damage boost, into Bonebreaker's aura for more heavy melee damage, into melee damage boost, and then over into the middle for toughness boost, and with grabbing Get Stuck In. On activating your combat ability, you and your allies incoherency gain 20% movement speed and are also immune to stun and suppression. This is a good way of helping your team get out of a sticky situation if you need to. And then we're taking Bruiser, which is giving us 4% combat ability cooldown reduction when you and your allies incoherency kill an elite enemy. This is going to allow you to use Indomitable more, which is also going to allow you to get more toughness back and then put more bleeds around you. So it's all lovely. And then we're going into Too Stubborn to Die, which gives us 100% toughness replenishment while below 33% health. This is an oh crap button. If things are starting to go wrong, this is going to give you a little bit of help trying to get out of them. Then we're taking Delight in Destruction, plus 8% damage resistance per bleeding enemy in melee range, stacking 6 times. So everything you do to lay about these bleeds is now going to give you damage resistance. Dominate gives us plus 10% rending on for 10 seconds on elite kill. It's not great, but you know, it's alright. You can switch it out for No Stopping Me if you really want to. Become uninterruptible while charging heavy melee attacks. It is very good when you're taking the Pickaxe. So, in fact, I'd probably take No Stopping Me instead of Dominate. There you go. Because, I mean, 10% rending, it's okay. But it's only on elite kill, and it's only for 10 seconds. No Stopping Me just allows you to keep swinging and not get interrupted. And with the Pickaxe, you are a threshing machine, so not being stopped, probably a good idea. Then into Toughness Damage Reduction. Into Implacable, which gives us plus 15% damage reduction while charging melee attacks. Into Heavy Melee Damage Boost. Into Heavy Hitter, plus 5% damage for 7.5 seconds on heavy attack hit, stacking 5 times. You are mostly going to be using heavy attacks, so this is basically going to buff all of that. Into Just Getting Started, while Heavy Hitter is at 5 stacks, gain 10% attack speed. Unstoppable, while Heavy Hitter is at 5 stacks, toughness replenishment from melee kills is increased by 100%. This is a very, very aggressive build. Like the last build you saw yesterday, probably, whenever I actually publish these videos, goes more in towards feel no pain and keeping you safer. This build is all about being incredibly aggressive and getting stuck in and laying waste to everything around you. I really enjoy this build. I love the Pickaxe. It's one of my favourite weapons for the Ogryn. It was the happiest day of my Darktide career when they finally gave the Ogryn a 2-handed weapon. But like I said, with the Pickaxes, you can basically choose whichever mark you want. It's just the difference is their attack patterns and the damage profiles of them. If you don't like the very fast Carsolus, take the Borvorian or the Brax. It's up to you. These builds are not set in stone. But there you go, folks. A very aggressive Ogryn build for you. I hope you enjoy it, and if you do, please do like and subscribe. Ring that bell for notifications. It really does help us out. And I shall see you all for the next one. So until then, take it easy. I'll see you later.